Hello everyone and welcome back to another Brightstorm video. Today I'm going to be reading chapter 24, which is called Evidence. Now, in the last chapter which Mrs. Vingo read, it left on a really big cliffhanger. I really hope that Maudie and Arthur don't get caught by Eudora Vane. Let's read on to find out. Footsteps thundered below. They scrambled and slipped along the hallway in their panic to get away. Doors banged, followed by shouts and more feet running. Maudie led the way up the stairs and urged him on. Arthur gasped a cold breath of air as she yanked him on deck. They ran to the side but couldn't see the rope ladder. "Where is it?" he panicked. Then Arthur saw the glint of Tuyok's eyes shining green in the dark further along. "Come on, it's back here." Footsteps clattered up the steps. "You go first, Maudie." "Not on your life, you go," she snapped, pushing him forward. Arthur swung his leg over the side when the unmistakable click of a gun being cocked froze him. Slowly they turned and winced at the bright light on them. They recognised the sneering, slimy voice of Bartimus Smethwick. "Well, if it isn't the Brightstorm twins," he said as though their name was infected. Eudora Vane appeared, pristine in pink silk pyjamas. A man followed behind and put a pink fur coat over Eudora's shoulders. "What a surprise! If you'd wanted an invitation, you only needed to ask." She ran a hand down Arthur's cheek. "Now, what are you doing on my skyship?" "Let us go," said Arthur. "The theft of equipment and supplies, perhaps, yet there is nothing in your hands." "Or hand. How curious." Smethwick lifted his gun. "Perhaps there is no need for force, Smethwick. They appear to be alone. Why not come down into the warmth? We can all still be friends." "We're not going anywhere with you," Maudie snapped and linked Arthur's arm. "You killed the crew of the Violetta," Arthur said. Madame Vane shook her head. "Poor deluded boy. Losing your father has softened your brain. They were ravaged by wolves. It's futile to doubt it." Futile. Futile. "There are 13 graves in the forest." Her eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" "The crew were 14, but there are 13 graves. What happened to my father?" "You're mistaken." "You poisoned the crew, Eudora." "Don't be absurd." Maudie stepped beside him. "And we've got the evidence to prove it." "Probably not the best moment to say that," Arthur whispered. The muscles in Eudora's face tightened and the mask fell away. She looked them up and down. "Your father was a disgrace. He didn't understand this place. He thought he could force his way into the Explorer Society, and he deserved everything he got." Arthur's stomach churned with anger, but the gun was still pointed at them. Then he heard faint scratching on the side of the ship. He coughed loudly, trying to cover up the noise. "Smethwick, take them below. Shoot if they try anything." Smethwick waved the gun at them, indicating the direction in which they were to go. Arthur exchanged a look with Maudie, trying to tell her not to move. The scratching came again. The silver insect flying above Eudora turned to the noise. "Whatever is it, Miptera?" Eudora said. In a flash, Tuyok leapt onto the deck, his huge body shining white in the moonlight, batting away Miptera with his great paw. The crew jumped back as Tuyok's hackles raised and he let out a great snarl. "I hear her thoughts. She means to kill you both if you go below." Smethwick still had his gun on Arthur and Maudie, but his attention was on Teacup. Snow is soft behind. I will distract them. Jump, cubs! Teacup let out another vicious snarl and braced to attack. Arthur and Maudie ran for the back of the ship and leapt. With a thud, they tumbled across the snow. The darkness filled with shouts and vicious growls. Teacup! Arthur shouted. Run, cubs! A single shot echoed into the night. Teacup! Arthur thought desperately. There was no reply. They paused, looking up at the Victorious. Arthur called again. Maudie grabbed his arm. There's nothing we can do. Another shot sent snow skittering upward beside Arthur's feet. They ran, slipping and falling in the snow. Shouts weren't far behind. Faster, Artie! A black shape appeared, black paws hurtling towards them. It was Slartok. They killed him, Arthur cried. Come, I will take you. A voice echoed through the night. You can run, Brightstorms, but it's hopeless. Your skyship is in pieces. You can't get back. You won't survive long, especially when winter sets in. If you think it's cold now, you're in for a treat. They climbed onto Slartok and charged back towards the Violetta. As they reached it, Harriet stood on the deck, a candle lit, her expression confused and panicked. We were woken by the thought wolves howling and shots in the distance. What in the continents has happened? Arthur and Maudie climbed up the bank of snow. You scared the life out of us, Felicity said. We went to look for evidence, Maudie said. Don't blame her. It was my idea. Arthur rubbed tears back with his fist. Harriet's confusion turned to anger. Evidence? Arthur took the locket from his neck. His voice shook. Parthena brought this back. Dad never took it off. We knew there was more to what happened right from the start. We wanted to bring honour back to our name by finding the truth out here, not just reaching South Polaris. And you didn't think to mention that to me? We thought it would ruin our chances of coming along. She shook her head and paced in quick strides. Going to the Victorious alone was incredibly stupid. You should have woken us and discussed it before you took it upon yourself. Now Eudora Vane is onto us and we've lost all element of surprise. This isn't only about you two. I wasn't thinking, Arthur said. That's the problem. Neither of you were. I'm sorry. Teacup dead and it was my fault because he was trying to help us. Guilt smothered him. He couldn't breathe. Harriet fell silent. Then she huffed out a long breath. Whoever shot Teacup was a monster. It wasn't your fault they pulled the trigger. They had a choice too. They're coming for us, Harriet, because we found the evidence. Eudora had a book on toxic plants and a recipe for poison cakes. We took photographs. Maudie passed her the camera. And you took my camera, Harriet said. We're truly sorry, Maudie said. I knew there had to be a reason for the tingling my toes in the gallery, Felicity said. Harriet shook her head angrily. She took her binoscope from her belt and looked across the snowy plain. There's no sign of them. They must have turned back, probably to get more weapons. We need to leave at once and cross the lake to the mountains. We'll be less exposed there. But we won't see the cracks in the ice so well in the dark, said Felicity. We don't have a choice. Harriet glared at Arthur and Maudie, who both looked at their feet. Then she tutted and sighed. I just wish you would woken me. We could have come up with a plan. I'm sorry, Arthur said again. Maudie, I thought you'd at least know better. Arthur wasn't sure what she meant by that. Was he really that foolish? Felicity took them by the hand. There's nothing we can do for poor Toyuk except carry on, and when the time comes, give that vile woman everything she deserves. Let's get packed up. Harriet paused. That's if you both want to go towards South Polaris. I need to go on for the crew's sake, but the Thought Wolves can take you back to the Aurora. You'll be safer in the forest with them. Of course, that's if they even want to help out anymore. If I don't make it back within a moon cycle and they've mended the ship, you can fly back to London and present any evidence you have. It should be enough to prove your father's innocence. Arthur shook his head. No, we need to make it to South Polaris for him. Harriet nodded. I thought you would say that, but you must promise me no more secrets. They nodded. Then they all grabbed their packs, plus food from the stores of the Violetta that Felicity thought was safe to eat. The Thought Wolves listened quietly to Arthur's thoughts explaining Tuyok's fate. For a few agonising moments nothing was said, but then Kinnapak, the wolf with grey rings around her eyes, spoke. Tuyok was always a wolf of great valour and generous in spirit. We will honour him by helping you as far as we can across the lake. This will give you a head start. Arthur's heart nearly broke at this. They moved slower across the frozen lake, stopping frequently for the wolves to sniff the air and listen to the groans of the ice. The lights coming from the Victorious became distant and the enormous mountain peaks loomed over, bigger beneath the night sky. Maybe they're not coming straight after us, Maudie said. We did catch her unprepared, said Felicity. But you can bet she'll be speeding now and will be off before daybreak, said Harriet. After a while, a pale blue glow seeped across the sky and the stars became less bright. The Thought Wolves came to a stop, still some distance from the base of the mountains, which rose to unimaginable heights before them, as if the world simply ended at a massive stone wall. We must leave you here and return to our pack. This is as far as we can go, as the ice may be too unsafe for our size in this rising sun. We understand. Thank you, Arthur said. He hugged Slartok and he knew that thoughts of Tuyok weighed heavily on them both. Thought Wolves have a saying, cub, until we will meet once again in tomorrow's snow. The amber glow of the rising sun shone in the east. With a lump in his throat, Arthur watched the Thought Wolves head back across the ice. What an eventful chapter. I really hope Arthur and Maudie and the rest of the Aurora crew beat Eudora Vane to South Polaris. We'll have to see in the next chapters. I'll see you soon for another video. Bye!